Let's have some fun with this astrology for November 10th to the 16th. Now, this week is not as intense as last week. That full supermoon last week was a thing. We also had Mercury, who just stationed retrograde on Sunday. So that happened last week. And we had 3 planets changing signs last week. That was a lot of shifting and changing and kerfuffling going on. This week is different. Interestingly, though, I want to share this before I dive into day by day and get us all the inside scoop on what's going on, is to feel into this. Sometimes these quieter weeks is when we actually feel more. We move through more. You know, it's like when you've been working, and then you have a week off, and that's the week that you get sick, right? Or that's the week that you end up diving into your own stuff, or fill in the blank. It's a little bit like that this week. Plus, all of these planets being retrograde, that makes for a really interesting cocktail of deep diving into self. One, it's Scorpio season. This whole week, we're still in Scorpio season. The sun's in Scorpio, Venus, our feminine, is a Scorpio. And we've got a bunch of planets retrograde. Now, when planets are retrograde, they're going inward. So this is a week of really going inward, including the mind, Mercury going inward. To do what? All the re-words: review, revise, recalculate, reassess, readjust, all of those words. So here's who's all retrograde. So we already talked about Mercury, Neptune retrograde, Uranus retrograde, Saturn retrograde, and Jupiter joins the pack this week. So it's not like Mars or Venus are retrograde. Those are real personal planets. But Mercury is a personal planet. He's going retrograde. Jupiter, the big grace-bombing, benevolent, he's suddenly going into our inner world, you know? So it's like big grace-bombing, benevolent, light-shining amplifier is going into our inner world. It's an interesting week. I do want to also say that this week is flavored by the moon moving from that culmination, that full moon that happened last week, Wednesday, moving toward a new moon. So this is the shedding phase of the moon. You can think of shedding in our lives. You can think of now it's releasing, like we came to the peak, we came to the culmination, and now we're letting go, especially with so much Scorpio going on, especially with so much retrograde going on. It's letting go, to get to that next new moon. All right. I think that's enough of this like overarching energetics going on this week. Let's go day by day and see what we can get into here. So Monday, the 10th, we have, I like this. This is interesting. And I want to see if I can like weave some ways of really seeing your life. I think we have an opportunity to really see what it is that Saturn and Neptune are doing for us. So let me just paint this picture. Saturn and Neptune, if you've been paying any attention to the astrology, you'll know that these two are big players in moving us into the new. They're heralding in an entirely new era. They're currently retrograding back into Pisces, the old sign though. That's the last sign of the zodiac. So they're in Pisces, but right now it's like they've swung back into Pisces to go form, that's Saturn, formless, that's Neptune. What forms need to dissolve? That's kind of like Neptune saying to Saturn, all right, let's dissolve more of these old forms, more of these old foundations, more of these old structures. So that's what they're doing. And then also, if you were to say Saturn looking at Neptune, it's almost like, let's rearrange reality. You know, the reality that I thought was reality, we're actually shifting that. We're actually expanding that. That's what's going on. So they're in Pisces and they're going, okay, here's another, and they're retrograde. Here's how we can reorient this person's reality. Like we have to dissolve these structures and these foundations and also open up their perspective so that they're maybe seeing like multidimensionally, you know, like Can you relate to this? I would love to hear in the comments if you can relate to that. Like, yeah, it is a really interesting experiment in reality at the moment, because the reality I thought I knew is definitely not it. It's how I was saying this to a friend the other day was like, the way that I used to read the grid, just like the grid of life, like energetics and making decisions, and how I would read the grid. I can't read it anymore. Like, it's so different. I don't know how it's showing up for you, but I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear if you're really feeling this shift in reality, like reality kind of being rewritten or altered. So these two on Monday, they're both in Pisces and they're both retrograde. But here's what's interesting. Saturn, he's foundations, he's the form, he's structure. He's square to Vesta. Now, Vesta could say she's goddess of home and hearth, but that's one very mundane level of what Vesta does. Vesta is the keeper of your inner flame. Vesta is who really helps us to focus where we are most called to aim our life force. That's Vesta. Like, she's a goddess, right? And what she's really good at is focusing where your life force goes. Like, focusing you on your purpose, highest purpose. Now, her being square Saturn, I love this, because Saturn's already dissolving old forms in Pisces and with Neptune. He's already in this like really open kind of expanded state. But Saturn is also he who manifests. He's the archetypal energy that sits between the seen and the unseen. He sits between the idea and the actual grounding it and making it reality. That's why it's like reality being rewritten when we speak about this. But he's there, and it's like this, we have this opportunity in all this retrograde energy where we revise, review, revisit. We have this really great opportunity. And this isn't just on Monday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, really a good time to do some deep analysis, maybe. I like the word analysis for some reason in this moment. Some like deep analysis of path forward. Just because I was going in this direction, is that still valid? Or just because I can do something doesn't mean that's the greatest thing I could be doing. That's what Vesta does. She goes, the greatest thing you can be doing. It's such a deep alignment, like a deep inner alignment with that. She's feminine. So that which makes you feel so fulfilled, that which fills your heart, that which gives life like meaning, purpose. That's Vesta. But wait, there's more on Monday. So Saturn squares Vesta, Neptune squares Medusa. Okay, Neptune is Poseidon. Poseidon is Medusa's lover. Did you know that? I know. Isn't this amazing? That was Medusa's lover. It was Neptune, Poseidon, who got Medusa thrown out of the Pallas Athena temple and turned from a beautiful maiden into a gorgon, because she had sworn celibacy vows to the temple space and she slept with Poseidon. He was irresistible. She couldn't help her. I don't actually, whatever, it's a myth. Some stories say that she was abducted and there was a rape, because they always love throwing the rape in there. And then some other stories say that it was just her being completely smitten with Poseidon and she couldn't help herself. But isn't this interesting? It's the archetypal couple. It's the archetypal couple in a square, right? While Saturn squaring another feminine archetype who's really all about focusing. What is it that you want to bring into reality? And now Neptune squaring Medusa, like the archetypal couple is coming back together. But interestingly, Medusa in her Gorgon form, that is not when she coupled with Neptune. It was pre the demonization of her, pre the throwing her out of the temple, that's all the dark goddesses. They were mostly originally these like beautiful form, this beautiful maiden form, like Hecate, she was considered like the great one. She was like above Zeus. And then at some point, they get demonized. And then they go into like Gorgon, gnarly serpent hair, I'll turn you into stone kind of form. So this is so interesting. So interesting. I find that there's so much of this happening at this moment in time. It's like, yeah, we've all done a lot of feminine reclamation work, right? But now it's another layer is accessible, like another layer of it. And I kind of feel this in this square of Neptune square Medusa, like another layer of it. Feel for this for a moment. Can we go back to the innocence of it? I mean, that innocence that go, it's like sometimes we call it a remembering, like sometimes an awakening almost feels like a remembering or a reclamation of a part of self. It's like a remembering. But this is like a remembering the feminine before she was, basically made to be a slave to whatever, the patriarchy, whatever, her father, and then sold for 3 goats and, 5 cows to the guy who then married her. And then she was just kept his house clean. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. I'm not really exaggerating. I don't know. There's something going on though. There's something going on around the remembering of a deeper, purer form. It's like a purer form of the feminine before she had to work through all the pain of being oppressed, all the, pain of having to like dull down, be a good girl, keep it quiet, shut down your wild woman, shut down your sexuality. And it's not just like, let me reclaim my fullness. Blah. It's like, go another layer deeper into like that remembering of the innocence before, where there is no pain body, there is no resentment. Like that to me is an aspect of new feminine. That to me is an aspect of what's available now when we do some of that work. I just did a masterclass. I actually filmed it this morning. I did a new one because I didn't like the original one that I did for the new human. It's totally free. It talks about this. It touches into this. Along with the masculine, it's totally balanced out, the feminine and the masculine and the union. It's a 45-minute dive into how do you become the new human? Let's not just talk about becoming the new human and all the energetics that are supporting the new human. Like, I want to know, how do I do that? Don't just tell me this is what's coming. Okay, great. I get a how. So that's what that masterclass is on. Again, all you need is your email and we can send it to you. There's a link below. There'll be a link above. You can find it all over the place. Okay, so that's Monday, the 10th. Now we move into Tuesday, the 11th. This is when Jupiter goes retrograde, right? So now when a planet is stationing retrograde, and he's been really slow for a few days now, and he will be slow for a few days after that, but it's more Jupiter energy. So more Jupiter energy. Jupiter's in Cancer. Cancer is the sign of the crab. Tough outer shell, soft, gooey inner shell. Cancer, there's a lot of depth to Cancer. So when you feel into Jupiter going retrograde in the sign of Cancer, it's amplifying the depths, amplifying deeper parts of self. Cancers have this amazing ability of deep intuition, of like deep self-awareness, of ability to go really, really, really inward, really, really, really deep. This is part of what Jupiter is gifting us at this time, is a way to see ourselves in a deeper way. Know thyself. It's that mystical path, know thyself. Every mystical tradition, and the deeper core of it, it's to know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. Now, Jupiter retrograde in Cancer with all these other planets retrograde, including Mercury retrograde, is such a profound time. It is a profound time for making space for ourselves and doing deep inner journeys. A profound time. all of the energetics. Let me share it like this. Actually, I don't even have to. We'll dive into this in a little bit. I wanted to talk about Mercury being the psychopomp, guide to the soul, but we'll maybe dive into that. Actually, we'll dive into that next, because on Wednesday, the 12th, Mercury is conjunct Mars, opposite Osiris. All right, this gets good. So Mercury, psychopomp, super supporter of guiding us into deeper depths of self. When he's retrograde, that's exactly what he's doing. You know, when planets are retrograde, they're going inward. So Mercury is going inward through Sagittarius. That's where he is right now, which is bigger mind, bigger thinking. It's like long distance travel. It's like university. You want to just think like expanded. I am a spiritual seeker kind of an energy. So it's like he's going inward in that territory of you, your spirituality, you could say, your self-growth, you could say your bigger thinking, the bigger you is a couple different ways of saying that. And so he's looking deeper into that territory of you. So that's a really good place to like journal or think about. Now, being conjunct Mars. So he's touching Mars. Him and Mars are having a bit of a dance party in Sag. That's a lot of fire. Mars is a warrior. He's already got a lot of fire. Mars is, I want to do something about this. Mercury is, I am busy reviewing and revising this person's external world so that it lines up with their internal true self. That's the psychopomp, guide to the soul. What he's doing is he's really just trying to get us into deeper alignment with your soul's blueprint, your highest path forward, your true north. So Mercury and Mars together, it's kind of like saying, it could feel like a little bit of a battle, to be honest. Like, I want to go forward because Mars wants to do, he wants to take action. And Mercury wants to review, revise, revisit, and take you deeper. So something that could feel good is to give yourself the space to make the action align with all this retrograde energy, all this Scorpio season energy. Like, okay, yes, I have some big warrior energy and I want to do some stuff. But if I can do stuff that is congruent with going inward, that is congruent with know thyself in a deeper place, that is congruent with learning more about true self, uncovering more of new self. I think this Mercury in Sag is also supporting this new human, this new earth, the birthing of that. So now they're opposing Osiris. Osiris, that's Isis's husband. So in the Egyptian mysteries, that's Isis's husband. He's the counterpart to Pluto, counterpart to Hades, lord of the underworld. So part of what Osiris really gifts us with is to die before we die. To die to the old self, to be reborn to the new self, the true self. But it's this constant, you know, if you think about the Ouroboros, it's like constantly regenerating. It's like the snake eating its tail. It's never ending. It's a never ending rebirth, like rebirth of you. And you think of all the cells in your body, like there's no cell that was in your body 8 years ago. I think they all regenerate within 7 years, every cell. So the whole of you is completely different. And it's like, this is a time, like Osiris being in the mix now with Mercury. Mercury's a big deal. When Mercury's retrograde, we all know it's a big deal. And so what he's saying is he's supporting this die to the old self. You have to let go of the old self. By the way, last week's full supermoon was a huge piece of this. And now we're moving from full moon into new moon. So it's more, What else is dead that I need to let go of? Can I take a journey inward where I can die before I die? You know, it's a mystical journey to die before you die. You know, your body doesn't die, but you die to the ego, you die to the false self to be rebirthed. You rebirth yourself. I do this in the masterclass. So we talk about this in the masterclass, that free thing that I filmed this morning. You're so welcome to journey it. Just check it out below. Links are above and dive into it. If this is something you're like, what are you talking about? There's more in there on that. So Mercury conjunct Mars opposite Osiris. This is a big inner day on Wednesday. Now Venus is also trine Horus. So Mars, our masculine side, is caught up going inward, having a death rebirth experience with Osiris. That's Mars, that's our mind, that's our warrior, that's our doer, is caught up doing that. Venus, our feminine. So Venus, this is Wednesday. So Venus feminine, you know, this is our flow. You're connected to life force. The flow of love is what Venus is really looking out for, the flow of life force. Like, how much is energy flowing? How is it moving? Is there balance? Is there harmony? That's like part of the beauty. You know, she's goddess of beauty. And so Venus is trine. That's a good, harmonious, flowing aspect to Horus. Horus was Osiris's and Isis' child. Horus. Now, when I brought Horus through for IX, we did 36 archetypes, Horus happened to be one of them. He was actually the final archetype. That's interesting. I forgot about that. He was the final archetype. And when he came through as divine child almost. He came through as holding both the masculine and the feminine in such a deep union within. It was such a stunning journey to really like move into and embody, because you embody all these archetypes when you do IX. And it's like the embodiment of the divine child, you know. So this is Venus, your feminine, is in this trine with Horus, the divine child. This is magic. So this is magic. Like, your masculine's busy going into the underworld, dying before he dies. Your feminine is over here like, yes, this is the new. Yes, 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 yes. And that was also part of what Horus brought in, was new codes, new codes, like awakening the new codes, the dormant codes in us, in our DNA, you know, to bring you into divine child. Like, you rebirth yourself anew, you rebirth yourself as divine child. So Horus, partially why I'm bringing this transit up. I don't always bring these little transits up like this. I shouldn't say little. This is big. Horus is conjunct Hygeia. This is just adding a lot of juice. Hygeia, Kundalini awakener. Miraculous healing, Kundalini awakening. That's Hygeia. So for Horus to be conjunct Hygeia, it's just like she brought him to life. And to be in a trine with Venus, Venus is personal. So even if we are not familiar with these aspects of self, your Horus aspect or your Hygeia aspect, or you don't even know these energies, you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about, these archetypes, Sabrina. That's fine, because Venus is the personal planet. She's going to be like the intermediary between the two. She's one that we can all feel. We all are very aware of. She's very loud in the collective consciousness, not hard to feel. And so she'll be like the translator. She'll be the one that is the go-between. She'll be bringing that into us. So stunning day. It's a great day to do that masterclass. Like, great. We talk divine child in that masterclass too, because after you die, you do the die before you die. Then it's the rebirth of self, and that's divine child. Anyways, all of that's in there. You can dive deeper into that. So that's Wednesday, the 12th. Then we move into Thursday. This is an interesting aspect. And part of this aspect is going to get louder come next week. So we'll talk about that in next week's astrology episode. But here's the aspect. This is the one that's exact today. This one's not coming back. Mary Magdalene, right? It's like, yes, Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene is trine Vesta on Thursday. So now remember we talked about Vesta back on Monday. She was square to Saturn at 25 degrees. Now she's at 27 degrees. So Vesta, keeper of your inner flame, focuses your Shakti, your life force, focuses, like gives you focus on what it is that your purpose is. She's in a good, harmonious aspect to Mary Magdalene in us. So our sacred heart, it's like Thursday is a really good day to just listen to your heart. Listen to your heart. Go to your inner flame. Like if I were to feel into my inner flame, like what would really light up my inner flame? Go to your sacred heart. I like doing this little practice. You go down to the bottom of your heart and you go back. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to access deep, 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 sacred. I'm going to say this word too. Vulnerable feminine heart. This is Mary Magdalene. Unarmored, deep depths of longing. Most people never want to go there. That's why we live half-lived lives. It's why my life is like not all that fulfilling. Our hearts don't feel fulfilled. We don't feel like we're giving love in the way we know we could, or receiving love in the way, or our relationships aren't as great as we think that they could be. We know they could be. We feel in our hearts they could be. This is a powerful, powerful, powerful place to go. Not just for women, but for men also, is the depths of heart, and to go into the longing. And oftentimes you have to go through the tears to get to your deepest longing, but it is what truly will fill your heart. That's feminine purpose. We talk about masculine purpose all the time. That's everywhere. Most of the time when you do a purpose course, even if you do like a life purpose, soul purpose course, it's oftentimes skewed way towards masculine purpose. And it's not also honoring the other side of the coin. We have two purposes. We have one that is very masculine oriented, and then we have the other that is very feminine oriented. And the feminine oriented purpose is really coming alive on Thursday, because Vesta says now it's about feminine purpose. Now it's about deepest heart's longing. How do you long to give and receive love? Must you have a child? Must you write a book? What is that for you uniquely? Powerful place to journey into. So that's Mary Magdalene trine Vesta on Thursday. Now, this is the aspect that's going to get louder and louder and louder. Mary Magdalene, so remember, this is like depths of the feminine heart, is opposing Persephone. That makes it even deeper, because Persephone will take you into the shadow. Like, here's where you get queened. Here's where you become queen, is in the depths of your underworld. You do not become a queen until you face your shadow. It's really what Persephone is saying, and that's what Mary Magdalene is saying. You do not create a life that fills your heart fully until you take the journey into the underworld. You cannot. You can't. Because you haven't accessed the depths of your longing. Isn't that fascinating? I think that aspect on Thursday is so potent and so powerful. I'm slowing down here because I'm thinking we have a Persephone retreat, and it's not open. It's never open. I don't think it's been open for a year. And it will take you into that underworld. It is a descent into your underworld to find that deepest, 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 deepest power, that deepest, deepest, deepest place in your heart, that what must I experience in this life to fill my heart from the feminine. It's feminine purpose. So we'll open that this week. Only for this week. We'll open it from the 10th to the 16th, our Persephone journey. It's a 5 or 7 part. You can choose to journey with Hades. I very much recommend that. That brings the sacred union, and all of that energy was going on Wednesday with Horus, with Osiris, like going deeper into the underworld and that union between Persephone and Hades, Persephone and Pluto. So that's something you could do. You'll look for the link below. Just look for Persephone Retreat. And again, it's only going to be open until the 16th. All right. So then we get to Friday. Now we just had some really beautiful, like feminine, deep depth stuff going on, but there's a lot of magic going on there, right? Vesta, she's a priestess. Mary Magdalene, that's sacred heart. There's a lot of magic in that. Now Friday, we go Venus square and a half to Saturn. That's Saturn with Venus. Two things here. Saturn, one, can constrict the feminine. That's how many experience a lower state expression of Saturn, is that Saturn is constrictive to the feminine. You're going to contract your heart. But here's a deeper depth to Saturn. Just like I was saying, there's a deeper depth to Vesta. You know, I was like, Vesta, some people call her keeper of the home and the hearth. Blah, that's so boring. There's such a deeper depth to her mystery. There's a deeper depth to Saturn's mystery. Saturn, deeper depth, is he who can literally hold every form of the feminine. Now that requires obviously doing a lot of work with your own relationship to the masculine and your own relationship to the feminine. But that's really an expression of Venus and Saturn that is possible. So instead of it being a constriction, it's there is nothing that I cannot hold. Where Mars, like let's look at Mars and Venus, we can say, you know, that's the archetypal couple. Mars, he's just not an archetype that is able to do full spectrum feminine holding. He can hold the lover aspect, he can hold Venus, but he can't do full spectrum holding. Like you throw Lilith at Mars and he's gonna shit himself. You put Kali in the mix, game over, right? He's duck and tail running the other way. But now you put Saturn there, a third stage Saturn, I can stay present, and I can not only stay present, but I can stay devoted to this form of you. Devoted to this form, Kali, this form, Lilith, this form, any form of your feminine. I want your witch. I want your seductress. I want your innocent. Every form. That's Saturn. Isn't that interesting? And he's been labeled the one who constricts the feminine. And for sure, that is how he shows up. But when you do more masculine, feminine work, you dive into these archetypes, you start to move them up to a different stage of them vibrating in you. And they show up very differently. Okay, so that's Friday. Let's move on to Saturday. So this is like a Venus moment. This is more Venus coming on Saturday. So Venus is in a T square. Remember, Venus is in Scorpio. So Venus, feminine, flow, life force, right? Like flow of love. Like that's like love, flow of love, relationship, like all that. And she's in Scorpio, so deeper depths. I want deeper relationships. I want deeper friendships. I want to go deeper. I want to feel deeper. I want deeper lovemaking. I just want deeper. That's Venus in Scorpio. Now she's in a T square to Parvati. Parvati holds all the wisdom of the sacred union. Like she holds the Shiva Shakti tradition, the whole wisdom of the sacred union within her. You could almost say, if you were to go like crossing different traditions, you could say Parvati is similar to Mary Magdalene. You could. Similar. Of course, they all have their little nuances, but you could say. So Parvati holding this like full, whole feminine, right? Whole. So she's in a T square to Venus, along with Pallas Athena. Pallas Athena is the strategist, the feminine warrior. I like this. Like Saturday is a really amazing day to go on a date. Like take your person out on a date. It could get pretty intense. It's Venus and Scorpio in a T square. It's challenging. Like T squares, it's not like, oh, flowing, harmonious. It's a T square. But this is like, you want to like dress up in leather, you know? But Also, your strategist. So there was a line I heard a long, long time ago, and I so believe this in Tantra. How do you explain Tantra? Flowery combat. Flowery combat. It's a dance. It's combat. It's flowery combat. And that's Pallas Athena, combat, Parvati, the sacred union, Tantrika, the Tantras, knows all that wisdom. All that is accessible, flowing right through that personal archetype of Venus. Saturday, I don't know, good lovemaking, sacred sex, all kinds of amazing things available on Saturday. Sunday gets a little bit not so feminine gloriousness. So Sunday, Mars, we've talked about him, warrior. Mars is in a square and a half to Chiron. Meanwhile, Jupiter is getting closer and closer to squaring Chiron and Eris. Now, Chiron and Eris, we all know that maybe we don't, but this is a longer term transit. Those two conjunct. Chiron, wounded healer. Eris, truth bomber. Warrior for truth. So this is a long-term healing aspect. Now we have Mars in a square and a half to Chiron. This is a wounds can be coming up now. Masculine wounding can be really at the surface. I'm also watching this Mars Chiron stuff, this Chiron Eris stuff, as fleshing, I think they say fleshing. I don't know, that's weird. Flushing out. I'm going to say flushing. Flushing out toxic masculine patterns out of ourselves, out of our ancestral lines, out of those around us. It's like it's moving. And it might be that we have to look at toxic masculinity more as it's flushing itself out. But we do have a good opportunity around that. Also on Sunday, the sun is trine Jupiter. This is a little bit lighter. Trine, it's lighter. Jupiter, benevolent. But again, Jupiter's retrograde in Cancer. So he's wanting to go in. He's wanting to go inward. And the sun trining is adding illumination. Sun, conscious self. I can go deeper into my conscious self as Jupiter being retrograde with the sun in a trine. So it's a good aspect. And then there's also Saturn there. Like Saturn has been in that almost trine with Jupiter, and then Jupiter went retrograde. Like they almost got to this trine. And Saturn, you could say, is boundaries, and Jupiter is boundlessness. So it's an interesting flow of dynamics on Sunday with the sun coming in. The sun's going to illuminate that. It's a grand trine. Sun, Saturn, Jupiter. So it's like expand, but where's the boundaries? But no boundaries, but some boundaries. Like where's the right road for us in each situation? Like what's the right road? So boundaries could be a big thing coming up on Sunday. All right, my gosh, it's been amazing to be here with you all. I want to say thank you all for chiming in last week on long form, short form, what do you like? And I think the overall consensus was just flow with it, Sabrina. Like if there's a lot, go deep, mix it up, do short form, do long form. And so thank you all for that. That was the greatest gift that you could give me, was just that. So that's what I'm going to do going forward. So thank you all. I just appreciate that. Next week, we're going to talk about Mercury moving into Scorpio. We're going to talk about Mercury squaring Kali. That's coming up. Kali, the ego slayer. That's a little bit of a fun twist to our Mercury retrograde. We're going to talk a little bit more about this Mary Magdalene opposing Persephone. This is staying with us. But now get this, they go into a T-square with Uranus. Uranus is the Kundalini awakener. Uranus is about to throw lightning bolts at Persephone and Mary Magdalene. Really good time to do that Persephone retreat. It's open until the 16th. Link below. And I think that's it for me. It's been amazing to be here. Go do that masterclass. Go get Persephone while the doors are open. And hit subscribe. That always helps us. And then maybe you don't miss anything in the future. And comments below. I'm always here for the first 2 days. I love hearing from you all. I love doing this with you all. I'm crazy grateful. Live more, love more. And I will see you when I see you, where I see you, and how I see you. Mwah.